Hello and welcome to FGC Philosophy. I'm your host, a philosopher, and this is where we talk about topics that are going to level up inside and outside the virtual arena. This is a fighting game community philosophy channel, so sometimes it's more philosophy, sometimes it's more fighting games. Today is a little bit more on the fighting game side, but before we get into the main topic, which I'll talk about in a second, happy Thanksgiving. It's the Friday after Thanksgiving. As of recording this, the recording that I'm going to be referring to, I actually recorded before Thanksgiving, so it's a little bit of both. But for right now, hopefully you guys are full of Thanksgiving food if you celebrate. If you don't, then hopefully you got a couple of days off to relax and reset your mind. I'm somewhere in the middle. As a family, I celebrate it. As an individual, as a person of color, multiple different colors, I really don't. But at the same time, I think it is still good to practice the art of gratitude. So I've been working on that. Before I get into too much of the personal stuff, I will say that today's episode is going to be focused around the League of Legends fighting game, Riot's fighting game that's coming up. I do a pretty good job of introducing the topic in the actual conversation that I have with my guest, Megamaxstar, somewhat co-host, honestly. It's just been a minute since I've talked to him. We both got multiple new jobs, so we've both been busy working on our own careers. Very proud of the progress of him as well, so that's really cool to reconnect with him. Neither of us have been going to our locals, so that's a little saddening, or I haven't gone too much because of work. But nonetheless, I'm really excited to talk about the topic. You'll hear the passion in my voice in that episode, or in this episode. I'm really excited for the future of fighting games because of this game. But before, I wanted to get into some personal updates, things that are going on with me. And even before that, I actually want to go ahead and do a segment that I want to start working on. And hopefully I can do this consistently for myself more than anybody else. But I want to talk about the books that I'm listening to or reading. I've actually got 2 books. I'm listening to them on Audible, and I'll have a link for that in a second. It helps me out, but also I just legitimately use Audible on like a daily basis. So I think it's a perfect blend for me. So what you guys can do, there'll be a link down below, but it's taviannapier.com/audible. It actually gets you a free month, I believe. It might be 3 months. I gotta double check this. I'll put it in the show notes for you guys, but essentially you can get a free subscription temporarily to Audible to listen to a book. And I believe you get one free book as well, so that way there's no commitment. I legitimately use this every day, so I'm not trying to just shill something that I don't use, but I do think that Audible is a great resource if you're a busy person, if you commute a lot. I have a 1-hour commute to and from work sometimes. I also do a lot of home, dishes and just working around the house for something to kind of keep me going, listen to some audiobooks. So that said, I've got 2 books that I'm listening to. One is fiction, one is nonfiction. The first one is Veridian Gate Online. If you are a fan of either MMORPGs or VR technology, maybe the book Ready Player One, not the movie, maybe the movie too, but more the book. If you are interested in what's called lit RPGs or literary RPGs, I think it's a really interesting genre. This guy, I'm on book 7, but this guy, the world blows up, the real world blows up, and some guy creates a virtual reality MMORPG, and people can upload their consciousness to it. And politics and corruption and a lot of scary things ensue, and it's just very interesting to see this world develop in this MMORPG. I'm a fan of .hack, I'm a fan of Sword Art Online, so this is not new territory for me, but it's just nice to see a different perspective, a little bit more grounded in terms of how people think. So I'm listening to that one, but I'm also re-listening to a book called The Art of Learning by Josh Waitzkin. I love this book. This is probably the 4th or 5th time I've listened to it, and I always get something new. If you don't know who Josh Waitzkin is, he's the person that the book in the movie Searching for Robbie Fisher was based off of. He's one of the youngest chess prodigies in the world, or grandmasters in the world. When he was about 18, 19, he actually transitioned to Tai Chi Chuan push hands, which is a competitive martial art, and became a master of that, a world champion of that as well, and talks about his philosophy of learning one and exchanging some of those philosophies over to chess, and then how over to martial arts, and then how learning martial arts helped him get better at chess and just as a better person in the process of learning and improving. It's a very philosophical introspective book. I really, really appreciate the book. I love listening to him. He also narrates the audiobook, so that makes it a little bit more personal. He's not the most exciting person. He's very calm and relaxing, and he's just like a very personable kind of guy. But I love the book. I'm always trying to improve myself as someone who's dealt with a lot of emotional and mental challenges as a kid, learning challenges as well. It's just nice to hear the thought process of someone who is at the peak of their game in multiple different games or multiple different competitive environments. It's really, really nice to listen to and gives me inspiration and helps me think about my challenges in a different perspective. So those are the two books I'm listening to. I'll probably talk about both of those several more times as I get more out of it. I just started listening to The Art of Learning again, so I'm still on the first half of the book. I believe I have to go check to see how far into it I am, but I think about different things, and I just have different perspectives, so hopefully I can capture that, because I want to do something more with books. I was hoping to do like a book club, but I just think with my schedule and the lack of discipline I have with scheduling social activities, I don't know if that's realistic for me, but I can at least talk about it on my podcast a little bit before I get into the main topic. Especially the audio version, I think I should really take advantage of the fact that I can do long form content. So I don't want to just do the main topic and then that's it. I'd like to reflect on some of the things that are important to me that I'd like to keep talking about, but don't want to make a whole new podcast for it, right? So I definitely want to take advantage of the long form content that I'm able to create on podcasts. So that said, check out those books. Check the link below if you want to help support me as well as listen to some really great books. There's a huge selection on Audible, which makes it really easy. I've got like 70 books and I've listened to like 80% of them. I'm really proud of that aspect of myself. It's not the same thing as reading, so I kind of feel like I'm copying out, but at the same time, I'd rather have the knowledge than not have the knowledge, right? So I know some people are like me where it's like, I like the idea of audiobooks, but I feel like I'm cheating. Well, if you're not going to read the book, be realistic with yourself and actually just make that plunge and try it out. There's not a commitment to it. You can cancel whenever you want. So yeah, let's do that. All right, but moving on to some personal updates. Nothing major in the world of me other than what I'm already doing, just working. I'm taking a break right now. It's, like I said before, it's Thanksgiving vacation. I got winter vacation coming up here as well. There's some stresses and some excitements about that. I'll have a lot more free time during December because, I work with colleges and educational programs, so there's nothing really to do for the most part. Some of my contracts, I still have some esports stuff that I can do. But for the most part, I'm going to be recuperating, relaxing, trying to take care of my health. That's been the biggest thing for me, next to my biggest personal thing, non-career, has been taking care of my health, both mental and physical. But closely next to that would be being a better father and being a better husband. Those are two things that I'm trying to figure out how to manage while also working on my business. That kind of bleeds into the fact that, I am a coach now. I'm an esports coach for 2 teams. Well, I've been coaching for like a year and a half now during the pandemic in regards to specifically team coaching and not just individual coaching. So I'm really thankful to be coaching Rocket League teams. I did it for high schools at first. I was coaching individuals of fighting games, but now I'm finally coaching one college varsity team, and I'll be coaching a university varsity team after the end of the winter break. I'm basically starting now. Tryouts are happening, right after this Thanksgiving vacation. I got to get ready for that, get ready for recruiting. So my brain's trying to shift to more of like, what do I need to do to be a good coach as a team? I need more structure. I'm thinking about all these different ideas while also trying to manage how do I be a better father and husband, and thinking about that audiobook before The Art of Learning. I'm trying to take what I learn and make sure I apply it to both, mainly like scheduling and keeping track of things and being more focused and more present, not distracting myself. Making sure that my terminology is very conscious. What I'm choosing to say and how I'm choosing to say it is very intentional as much as possible. It's harder to do those things when you're tired, when you're burnt out, when you're stressed out. So taking care of myself is incredibly important. When your diet's not good, when you're not exercising, when your body is sore, that really adds up and it compounds, and I don't like it. I've lived a life long enough knowing what it feels like to be healthy. I've been blessed with a fairly healthy body, even though I don't think I've done the best job of taking care of it long term. There have been some long stints where I did take care of my body very well, and that's why I can notice when my body is not feeling as good as it is. But now I'm in this place where I'm just so busy that other things seem more important than taking care of my body. And I know that's not true, because I can get more done if I take care of my body and my mind, and your spirit, if you believe in that sort of thing. If you need some sort of like spiritual grounding, whether you're religious or more on the spiritual side, I tend to be more on the spiritual side, but it's not a necessity for me to be happy for the most part, I would say. For other people, they need that. So it's important to practice those things. Religion is a practice that you have to adhere to if you're going to, get that sort of emotion or that sort of feeling, I would imagine. It's the same thing with like meditation and exercise. Those are the things that help me feel more gratitude. Those are the things that help me feel better with my body and my mind, like literally functioning better. So it's both practical, but it's also a little bit more on the emotional side, because it gives me like a release, and it gives me some sense of accomplishment when I do it continually, because you see that progress as you do it, but you have to do it regularly. But yeah, the last segment of the life that I'm trying to figure out is how to be a better business owner. And that includes, making content like this, but also the non-fun stuff like the taxes and managing the money and investing and making sure I'm keeping track of all my appointments and contacts. That's pretty challenging for me. It's something that I've been conscious of, but there's always been like some sort of backbone because I've worked for other companies, so I could always utilize their tools. And now I'm essentially, figuring this all out on my own. And it's not completely new, but it feels like everything is falling on me, and I'm okay with that. I've accepted that, but at the same time, it's hard. It's hard because there's so many other things, home ownership, parenting, being a husband, and a lot of these individual contracts, they require a lot of attention. So it's something I'm figuring out. It takes time to do. I think that's pretty obvious, but at the same time, I think we live in that era of instant gratification, so it's really hard for me to not want it now. It's like that commercial, like, it's my money and I want it now, right? I don't know if any of you guys remember those commercials, if they still exist, but that's just like how I feel. It's like, it's my progress and I want it now, right? That's how I feel about some of this, and it takes time, but at the same time, it takes reminding yourself on a regular basis so that you don't forget about it after a week and then you're stressed out, like, oh, where am I at? You ever play a video game, like an RPG, and you stop playing it for like a week or a month, and then you hop back into it and you're like, I don't remember anything about this now. I don't know what the heck I was doing in this game. I'm just going to start over. And that almost sometimes feels like it's the best option to start over, but sometimes it isn't the best option. It just feels like the best option because it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I need to just sort of get a fresh start. Sometimes that's appropriate, but when it comes to like you're building a business and you're managing something, you can't just scrap everything and start over. You have to see where you left everything, and the longer you do that, the longer you take before you revisit certain aspects of your business or whatever it is that you're doing, your exercise, it could be whatever. The harder it is to get back into it and continue that momentum, right? You lose momentum if you wait too long before you get back into it. So I'm trying to figure out, like, how long do I need to take? Is it a daily thing? Is it a weekly thing? Is it a monthly thing? That changes depending on what it is. But I also, I want to encourage other people to think that way as well, because life can get very hard. As someone who, I have a lot of skills in certain areas and I have no skills in certain areas, I feel like I should as an adult right now. And my wife is part of my team, so thankfully she complements a lot of the things that I don't have, and vice versa. So we work together, and then both of our families support us, and we try to support them as much as possible. And then we also have some really awesome friends that support us as well. So that's really awesome. It takes a village to raise a child, and sometimes a child isn't a literal child. Sometimes it is. Like people have raised our son, helped us, babysit our son. That's very literal. But also it could be an idea or a philosophy or a concept where other people are helping you, whether they know it or not, to raise the child that is your business or your content or whatever it may be, right? Your goal, your health. And that's very, very true. So with that said, though, what I want to do is get into this topic. We're going to talk about the Project L. So this is a conversation we had earlier. I really enjoyed it. I watched the trailer a little bit more afterwards. There's more thoughts that I have on this, but overall, this is my initial reaction to the trailer. We discuss it, and I'm really excited about this game for so many different reasons. I don't want to reiterate it in this introduction, but essentially, it looks like it could do a lot for the fighting game community, more than most people realize. There are some prominent members in the FGC that actually understand how big this could be. But I think a lot of people are still sort of just letting the game sink in and looking at it at a very surface level as to how it impacts them and not how it might impact the whole entire FGC. With that said, though, I think that's a good introduction to the topic. Let's get into it. Thank you guys so much again. Happy Thanksgiving, and I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to FGC Philosophy. This episode, we're going to get right into it. It's me and Megamaxstar back again, talking about Project L, the new Riot fighting game. I'm very excited about it, but nonetheless, I guess let's rewind a little bit. I was working yesterday, and then I got DM'd it by a League of Legends player, actually. Like someone who knows I play fighting games, but is a League of Legends player at Western. And I'm like, oh yeah, like here we go. But I had to go like somewhere else, so I couldn't watch it for a good minute. And then when I did watch it, like I was watching with some fighting game people, like people were talking over. I was with Frodo, and like I love Frodo, but you know how much he talks, so I was missing like half of it. Went home like hours later, rewatched it, and then watched Maximillian's reaction to it too. So like I've watched the video several different times. I went back and listened to our old episode because we talked about this a while ago. And, you know, we kind of use a couple of people as like a sounding board for people who do think like this, you know, because I don't want to out them specifically, but just people who were like, you know, cynical people or like just doubters in general. And, you know, some of the predictions that we basically made and all that kind of stuff. So we'll talk about that. But first, I want to get your reaction to the gameplay. Like, what did you think about it?
Dude, man, you should have been there when I first saw it, because I got a text from my friend and it's like, dude, have you seen the Project L stuff? And I'm like, no, dude, are you kidding me? Stuff came out, and I knew it was coming out because they made an announcement like a week or so ago saying like late November that they're gonna, you know, show something, and I was like, okay, so it's gonna come like anytime now. I pulled up and I started watching the video, and I was popping off, dude. I was like, dude, this is so good. The like animation, the like just like the tag team fighting is such a genius idea for League in general. It's going to be a fast-paced game. It gave me huge Marvel 3 vibes, and just Marvel vibes in general. You know, and I love that stuff. That stuff looks so cool. Something that I noticed that not a lot of people pointed out: wave dashing looks like it's in the game. Like,
Yep.
Crouch wave dashing. I noticed that like right off the bat, that, you know, they were doing like a showcase with Echo, and he was dashing, crouching, dashing, and I was like, oh, nice. There's going to be like this high level movement tech here. That's important. That's really sick. So I'm just so excited. I was literally going by it frame by frame, looking at every little like tiny minute detail. I was like, this looks so good.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited, honestly.
I mean, we'll talk about Echo real quick because they showcased Echo more than anybody else. Darius had a couple of sick combos, and so did Ari. But like the mechanic that Echo has, right? So I watched it, and then I watched Maximillian watch it, and he was breaking it down, and I was kind of doing my own analysis while watching him, right? And the time rewind mechanic and how like the cross ups work, like they showed some high level stuff. That like the potential of that, let alone like the tag mechanics of it.
It just looks so good. The fact that you can just kind of choose, and he's gonna be a nuts character for a tag team brawler. If you have somebody that like, if we're just like completely speculating, if you have a huge lockdown assist, like, and you just swap back to the other side, and then you do some like choose if you want to go left or right after that, like that's some nuts mix-up stuff. This game looks like it's going to be fast, and people are going to die fast, which I mean I'm a fan of, because that just makes the sets so much more like interesting,
intense,
you know. Yeah. I think it'll be cool. I think it'll be really cool. I don't see that game where like those combos being that long, characters living for a very long time too. But I'm not. I guess I could be wrong, but I'm sure they'll create some sort of comeback potential too.
Yeah, like there's so much to speculate about the mechanics, because I don't know how they could do anything. Like they might, you know, have some sort of I wouldn't say items per se, like maybe not that level, but like customizable things about your character. Will different characters have different health? You know, like Darius should have more health than Ari, right? I just wonder what they're going to do with it, and then I wonder if I'm assuming that there's going to be cooldowns instead of. Like since they have simplified inputs and such, and moves are pretty powerful. Inputs. Yeah, I think it's just like either somewhat Smash related, or there's special buttons. Like I saw, like I think it was attack and special, because it was A and S, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how they do it. It was like A3, S1, S3, stuff like that. So I don't know if there's going to be like a 6-button game with like attacks and specials, like three attacks, 3 specials, or 2 attacks, 2 specials, something like that. Well, at least 3 attacks.
I'm actually really curious on that, because I was trying to decipher that, and I still was like, it's like over my head, because normally, you know, you see like ABC and you're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But it's S and A, and then it's 1, 2, and 3. So that makes me think like, okay, are there 3 each? Is there only 2 S's? Is there 3 A's? Like, I can see it being a 4 to 5 button fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Not counting the tag button.
Yeah.
Because obviously the tag button is like its own button, and not a lot of people count it when they say like BlazBlue Cross Tag is a 4 button fighter or a 3 button.
Right,
fighter.
right. In terms of the attacks and combos and stuff, it's not considered part of the buttons.
And Dragon Ball is 4 button.
4 buttons, yeah.
Assists. Yeah. So I'm curious because it looks like they're taking like early Marvel as like their idea when it comes to because it's a 2v2 belt like battler, which we haven't seen 2v2. Well, I guess Cross Tag was 2v2, and that was a 3 button.
Marvel Infinite too.
Oh, you're right. Marvel Infinite was also like that.
Forgot about that game, huh?
Unfortunately, that game's fun though. Like, I mean,
is.
we've talked about it. We've touched on it. It's a good game. So yeah, I'm really curious because obviously I think they're probably put in an extra mechanic in the game, maybe either passives or runes, something like that. I can see them doing.
Okay, so I think it might be a 5 to 6 button game, maybe including the tag button, because they may go closer to Smash, where they have inputs and directionals, right? Because
and they have shown that it is directionals. You're right.
Yeah, but they may also have multiple special buttons, because if it's a League of Legends game, and it's also pulled or inspired from Rising Thunder, which was Tom and Tony Cannon's like game that I think that kind of helped them get this job on top of GDPO.
Right.
I would wager those had like multiple special buttons, I believe, and then cooldowns. And I don't remember it had directionals. But
no,
that
it didn't
said,
have any directionals. It was just buttons.
I think they're also being vague with the inputs on purpose, just because they might not know exactly, like they might not have it fully locked down, or the version that they showed.
Back.
Yeah. So it might not be set in stone, but I think it's going to be some combination of like either directional inputs, which you said is already confirmed, and then also multiple special buttons.
Yeah.
And maybe including a tag button.
I could see them doing like button combinations, like how DBFZ has done their button combinations. Yeah, hotkeys. Yeah. Press like A1, S1, and you do this action. So. I mean, it's a normal thing in fighting games. It's always been there. Just grab in of itself has been like a universal thing in fighting games, where it's always like punch and kick or something like that. So I'm sure they'll do something with pressing 2 buttons together and some sort of, different move entirely that you can do. I'm not like upset that like there's no motion inputs. I think it's fine, because I think they want the barrier of entry to be easier, and that's fine. And they talked about it themselves, where they said they actually had a perfect response. They said they wanted the barrier of entry to be easier, but the like high quality players, the high quality plays that you can do are still there. So it still has like, a gap between if you're a good player or a bad player. I think people can really like kind of look at it from like Cross Tag. If you've played it, it's a very, very, very easy game, and honestly, like you can it's kind of hard to tell a very good player to a player that's kind of in mediation. Like not to like shit on Cross Tag players, but really like the hardest part of the game, and the part that like a lot of really good players get off of, is the sandwich stuff that you can do with assists and stuff like that. But otherwise, the barrier of entry is so incredibly easy that like from easy to moderate, it's very, very similar in terms of play. As long as like there can be a difference with that, I think that'd be fine for me, because obviously like them saying it and then them doing it it's just 2 different things. I'm kind of curious to see where they're going to take it from here and how they will kind of put it into practice.
Yeah, I went back and watched that gameplay of like Darius to look at his moveset, and so they only showed ever S1 and A1 and A2, or and then like down A3. which is like is up heavy basically. It's like light, medium, heavy is basically what that is for sure. But the S button, don't know with 100% certainly. But it did do like down S or stuff like that. So there's directionals, there's but I think that they might have like an ultimate button or something like that. You know, maybe it takes like a long time, like only game 3 it works or something, or like once per set.
Yeah,
get, like,
they did
their
show
ultimate.
off they showed off 2 supers actually. His super looked sick as hell, and they showed off Ari's super.
Oh, you're right. They kind of showed off her super, but it cut, so it made it look like it was part of the full combo. But I didn't see like the full animation, obviously.
It was tough to see. Yeah, she just did like a big like beam wave thing, and that was it. But Darius's was sick. I actually love that. I went frame by frame, and him just like spinning around and then just like ending it. That looked sick, man. I was like hype watching that. So if I'm hype watching like just that trailer in of itself, I'm sure it's going to be a hype game to watch and just like competitive play, you know?
Yeah. Something you said earlier about I think Tony said it, but basically it's going to be easy to learn, hard to master, and like they basically said, don't worry, like the pros are never going to be beat by somebody that's less experienced. Like they addressed so many things straightforward that I really appreciate that. Which I'm not surprised because it's them. You know, they've been around the field for a long time in terms of fighting games, but like
they know what people want.
I also appreciate Riot for being able to let them do that. Because I remember a situation very similar to this where a Combo Fiend, who was a very strong Marvel player, was like the representative for Marvel Infinite, and they basically just gave him canned answers to say, and like he was somehow the functions are more important than the characters, and like I know he damn well knew that the people didn't want to hear that, and like I don't think you should tell them what they want to hear, but at the same time, like he couldn't do his job properly. He couldn't really be straightforward about like what they were addressing because Capcom wasn't addressing it. Netcode, right? We both felt very adamant about this.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Just my one thing is banning players or putting punishing players day one, disconnecting. Amazing. I think that's like bold, and I think it's honestly what we need for games now. And too many developers, specifically Japanese developers, don't hit that. They don't care if you rage quit. They don't care if you leave. They don't put leaver penalties. Day one, leaver penalties, respect, honestly, because online matters a lot. And if you want your community to trust you and like you, that's number one, man. That's really it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Something they said that was very great to hear was the fact that they test their multiplayer. Like all their multiplayer matches are online when they're playtesting this in-house. And that might sound kind of weird, but when you're thinking about the fact that we are still going through a pandemic, but just in general, this practice is good because if you're trying to aim for offline net play, you should be testing to see how your online or like offline net play, offline conditions. You want your online to be as similar as possible to offline conditions, and you should be testing that in-house and making sure that feels right. And having people who play fighting games do that as well, because that's a huge important part of the portion. So I'm really excited. I know that like some people were very doubtful of the game having good net play, and I haven't heard anything about crossplay yet. I don't think they mentioned that from what I saw.
No, they didn't mention it. I'm still waiting. I hope. But honestly, my hope is pretty high, just because they released the Ruined King recently. I don't know if you heard anything about that.
They released 2 games. Just kind of just threw them out there, and I'm like, what the heck? I heard about it, but I haven't seen it.
Ruined King just came out the other day, and my very good friend Jared has been playing it, and I've been watching him play it. Looks really good. High quality game. Very good RPG. But that game's on everything. It's literally on PC, PS4, Xbox, Switch. So, like, that in of itself makes me feel comfortable in saying that crossplay is a very good potential. Obviously we can't just say 100% crossplay is going to happen. We don't know until they say it, and I'll wait, but I'm gonna stay hopeful because I think they have the potential to blow this out of the park, and I think crossplay is the biggest thing to show that. And if they also want to talk about, because they talked about how they're setting up their netcode and their net play by using Riot servers as a medium to help with the rollback. I think that's really, really smart because Riot servers have been really good lately, personally, just from being a League player myself. I play League on like 30 ping consistently, and that feels great. So if they can push that to the similar standard for Project L, I'm very hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think that's incredibly possible. It's not hard. I mean, Strive is doing it, and Strive, I feel like, does not have the funding that Riot has, right? They don't have that 10-cent money in their pockets. So I
no.
just I don't think
they got
that
Bamco money though. That's for sure.
That's true. That's true. But I highly doubt they're going to give them the money they need to like do their game as well as they need to. I could be wrong on that because like Daisuke seem to be doing very well with this. It's just the net play has some. I don't mind it. It's not game breaking for me, right? But I have to admit, objectively speaking, that the amount of time it takes to get to the network is bad. And then like their server, like their in-world game online, like whether you're playing a little chibi character.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. It's just it doesn't work as well as I think it doesn't work like it's supposed to. It doesn't work as intended yet. So I'm still hoping that's a thing. But when you're playing the game, when you're in game, I can go to Japan and play with Japanese players, and it's not terrible, right? There are some times where it's very noticeable, but a lot of times I have pretty fair matches. I get all 3 matches, and they want to play it out with me, so I'm not causing them any lag or anything either, or at least the quality of matches are good enough for them to rematch me. Whereas, also Fantasy Strike, right, which I think is on GGPO, is a free-to-play fighting game. You can play the game for free, and I believe it's cross-platform.
Yep. Yes, it is, because it's playable with PlayStation and PC. I believe.
Yeah, I don't know if it's on Xbox or not.
I don't remember, but I don't know if it's crossplay. It's only crossplay Xbox to PC, I think.
PS4 to PC.
No, if it's on Xbox, that's what I mean.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But I can't recall. Melty Blood is also a good example. It's also rollback netcode. I believe, I mean, it's got to be on GGPO. But honestly, though, Melty Blood's rollback has been, I don't know if you've played it yet, but
I've heard mixed reviews.
Yeah, it's okay. Like, honestly, like, it's rollback, so it's not like awful. But if you have a slightly worse connection, it definitely, like, you can visually see it. But I mean, it's a lot better than delay-based. Sometimes delay-based is better, but of course that's only in niche markets where, like, if you're living in Japan, obviously delay-based netcode is sometimes better. But again, it's so niche, and it doesn't happen as often as, like, you'd think it would. Because we live in America, and people are spread way far. So, we need to be able to... I want to see people play from, all the way up in, like, Maine to, like, New Mexico or something, or, like, California.
Yeah, I want an NA tournament where I can actually play NA. I mean, I want to play, like, Canada and stuff, too. Mexico, let's see. Let's go.
So, like, if they can make that a potential possibility just in general with the servers, like, that'll be great. And then also increasing the player base by making it cross-play is the biggest thing they can do, and it also makes the leaderboards somewhat legitimate. It's a genuine problem with I'm just going to use Dragon Ball because that's the game I know just all that well. Leaderboards are, of course, like, spread across each platform, and a lot of rankings are skewed. So if you are a, let's say, Living Legend player in PC, that's about the level of, like, a Super Saiyan God rank on PS4. Like, there's a huge disparity between the ranks where, PC players are just generally more, like, competitive, and there's a lot more, like, lower density players, so it means you have a higher quality games. But if you don't have the population for it, then, somebody who's high rank in PS4 wouldn't be considered as, high rank. But most FGC players usually don't care about rank. A lot of people say rank doesn't matter, which I am one of the people that also can say that. You can show up anywhere, and I don't care what rank you are, you know, it's about what you show up with and what you play with. So, but it helps people feel like, you know, their rank actually matters, rather than putting it like in these separate little columns with consoles.
Yeah. So I guess this point is related to what you were saying before, but it's also like multi-pronged, right? So it deals with network. I can't explain this as well as Maximillian did in his video.
Holy shit, they're using server-based rollback.
Will route network traffic between players through Riot Direct, our internal network already being used to minimize latency in League of Legends and Valorant. We're also actively managing a player's connection to their opponent to ensure a consistent, fair play experience. If their connection is laggy or drops packets, their experience will suffer, but yours won't.
There's no reason for them to do this, unless it's going to be a team game. They don't have to invest this much unless there is going to be one person piloting one character and another person piloting the other. At least to me. I don't know if they announced that here, but to me, that is what they would not need to invest this much in this if it was peer-to-peer based. However, if there's 4 players involved, then yes, having something in between to balance everything out, to balance the rift would make a lot of sense.
2 people. So is this going to be an actual 2v2 where 4 players are playing?
That would be sick.
Right. And I'm excited for that possibility. I think because one of the things that fighting game is missing in terms of esports production, like viewership numbers, all that kind of stuff, is the fact that it's not a team game for the most part, except for like doubles and Smash. That's usually like a side tournament almost. It's the people who play it are competitive, but they're all like already pros and singles. There's not too many like just doubles players that only do doubles, right? So if this is a 2v2 game, because again, Riot can host their own tournaments. They already have the esports production to do the backing for it. Having a team is always, in my opinion, like it just seems to be more exciting for viewership. Objectively speaking, I watch fighting games, but I can't deny that like there's something different about watching a team like pop off together and celebrate. And like I've seen it in person, I've seen it online in big tournaments. I love personally, like I want to compete mainly in fighting games, but like I also have to be objective and say that I think in terms of esports production specifically, that would be in its best, like it would be probably in its best interest if it's possible to do.
I also think it creates a lot more higher quality games because, and like you were saying, from an esports standpoint, if you have VODs, like there's always VOD reviews after of like the actual players talking to each other, and that's always just like an interesting standpoint to see how players are communicating with each other. And it is possible. I know Riot has shown interest in doing that in other games, like in Runeterra, they actually had a game mode where you could play with another player, like 2v2, and that's a game. It's a single player card game, so there's that. Dragon Ball has shown that they've attempted it with like raids, so there's that too. So it's
DOA,
not out of the like
DOA 4 on Xbox 360 also had it. They had tag battles where you can tag in your teammates.
MK9.
Oh
MK9.
Yeah.
Wasn't Tekken Tag also like that too?
I was about to ask you the same thing. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure. I'm like 90% sure Tekken Tag actually had like 2v2 competitive matches. Like, and I think that's cool.
We need a Tekken player. Where's Sticky Boomstick at? We need him right now.
Yeah, I know. We gotta add him. But like, I think that's really cool, and I think that's a really, really good idea because it just makes the games more exciting, and like the team aspect is just cool. Yeah. So, and we've been needing that because there haven't been a team-based fighter like come out, and you can just have it where, and I'm sure they'll probably swap it where you can just do one person controlling both characters, or you know, both players controlling a character, and they can probably have their own different ranked ladders. So,
yeah, I was gonna say a separate rank for duos though. What?
Yeah, like, and I it's league based, right? So it honestly makes sense. Like they've always been people to try and implement team based stuff, and I see it in Runeterra's Horizon 2. They took it out of labs a while back, but I think they're bringing it back. Like, I genuinely think they are bringing it back because they were testing it, and I think they're going to come out with like some sort of game mode. So if Runeterra, a single player card game, could have 2v2 stuff, who could say the fighting game can't either?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
I'm thinking about it from like an esports production standpoint too. Like that's how my brain is starting and then like branching off. So one, they're testing it to make sure the offline is as good as the online. So there's a possibility that Riot-based tournaments are going to be online-only tournaments. Not in the sense of like, I mean like they can be in-house in an arena, but it's still going to be on some sort of server, whether it be an in-house server or like just playing online. But imagine playing a fighting game against your opponent where you're only sitting next to your teammate and your opponent's on the other side of the room and can't hear you talking, right? Like that's kind of weird, but it becomes possible with this. And because of that, communication could also, like, because we talked about, did we not talk about coaching yet? Yeah. We had that whole coaching situation, right? You know, that got inspired. So
we never touched on that for podcast stuff. But
woo! So, but you see what I'm saying, though, right? Because two pro players coaching each other. Because the Street Fighter League is already a thing too.
Right, and we've seen on Street Fighter League like mid-set coaching has happened, and it just produces this really high quality content always. So, and even then, right, like we've seen tournaments from old games like Street Fighter Third Strike, where, you know, it's like crew battles and they're team based or they're team oriented and everybody is just working to play together and win together. So it's always, I find those way more hype and way more interesting from a competitive and esports standpoint than one player duking it out with another. Not to like, you know, make it worse, but it's just fun. It's just like downright fun. And then when you, and I think we've touched upon this in another podcast, but when you're celebrating and you have somebody to celebrate it with, it just like, it feels so much better. You know, it always just feels so much better.
It does.
So
it's just better everything, because like from the business standpoint, there's better photo opportunities, there's better like reactions, there's better moments, because like more people, more unique situations. But like as an individual player, it's like, yeah, you get to share that victory with somebody else, and that kind of feels nice. Like I love winning, and like when we play Clash or when we play like this games and we're calming and we earn a dub, it feels so much better. Like today, I was playing Halo Infinite. I was playing Halo Infinite with JB, and I was getting salty because like he's very quiet, he doesn't calm a lot, and then like no one on Halo even like talks, and like one dude finally talked, and he was cool as hell, and we were like, I got your back over here, blah, blah, over there, and like I was like, yes, that is how this game is supposed to feel. Up until that point, I was just not enjoying myself because I was like, the gameplay is nice, but that's not. I need interaction. I need some comms. I need the communication. Like, what's happening? It's not the same. So yeah, I love fighting games. I'm not trashing on 1v1s or anything like that. I play Strive a lot and Street Fighter every week, but I'm just saying from multiple standpoints, I think it's just a good opportunity. I could be way wrong, but I like going down this rabbit hole and just looking at the possibility of it, because I think there's still going to be 1v1 tournaments and it's still going to be hype, right? You know, Evo and Combo Breaker, they can all do that same format, but like in terms of like esports, not home, like grassroots, because this gives us an opportunity to have an esports game where we can still do grassroots, right? And like it'll help. The game's going to have a good netcode. It's going to be able to grow and like do well. But yeah, so I think that's a good, fun idea that they could do that doesn't necessarily take away if they allow you to do 1v1s, and it doesn't really affect it at all. I'm really excited for that.
I am super excited, and just so everybody knows too, unfortunately, it's not, Project L won't show up next year. It's going to be a 2023 game. So a lot of this speculation we won't even see until, you know, way until the end. However, they did say they're going to try and keep us updated for major updates. They've been in the dark for 2 years now, I think. Was it, or was it a year and a half?
We can go check our video.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'll check that in a second. Yeah.
But it's been a long time, and
literally 2 years.
I think it was 2019.
December 19th is when we uploaded, so it had to have been probably right around the same time they launched this promotion.
That's crazy, but I'm glad they finally did something and they finally said something, because I've been gnawing at the bit knowing about it, and it's just good to finally have something new circulating and finally people talking about it too, because all we had before was just these 3-second clips that everybody and their mom was using to show off what Project L could look like. But now we have so much more. We have so much more to talk about. People can go frame by frame by the little bits of info. Like, to me, the game looks very Marvel 3-ish, and I'm just excited at that because Marvel 3 is hype. Because there was a point where I think like Echo was comboing Jinx, and I saw her body do like a little like on the ground, and I was like, that looks like an OTG like potential. Like, man's hitting him with hidden missiles, and then he just like continues the combo.
The Jinx assist?
You know what I mean? Or just like something. I'm just like.
Well, like, no, Jinx shoots a missile for her assist and like extended the combo.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And then,
but I was thinking like Doctor Doom, like hidden missiles, like doing the OTG stuff from Marvel 3.
Yeah,
just super hype stuff. I can see this game being very like I'm trying to think of kind of fluid, and like you can just do whatever you want.
Freeform, like creative.
A lot of games, yes, very freeform, because a lot of games lately have been very like not exactly restrictive, but combos have a limit, and that would be very interesting for them to kind of go back to the old like Marvel 2, Marvel 3. Even Marvel 3 had its limits, but you had ways to break the limits. But you know, where you can just keep comboing as long as you're allowed to, until like there's a certain point where it's like, okay, that's enough. But you know, like if you see anybody play Marvel 3, like anybody who actually plays the game can do the Doctor Doom like death loop, and it's not hard. It's very easy. But it's very quick and simple. But I don't think they'll have it to like that level where you can just constantly TOD people like that. But I do think there will be opportunities where you can just kind of pop off from small things. And just kind of continue combos. Like just watching Darius do his, like they didn't show off Darius, which I kind of wish they did. But his like wall bounce stuff, like, oh my god, that looks so sick. Like just him jumping up in the air, wall bouncing the character, then just like grabbing him again. I was like, dude, it doesn't end. Ari's combos, I don't know if you remember. Hers lasted forever. I don't know.
Yeah, dude.
I hope they do something to change that, because that would actually infuriate me just a little bit. I literally counted it. I was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 dashes she does. And
that's why I think there's ultimates and cooldowns.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll put a burst system in the game too. Like, I wonder if they'll put like summoner spells or something in it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is like you could probably have some sort of like customizable things you can change out. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for that.
I bet they would do runes and summoner spells. That's my guess. Is like
something
pre-game,
like that, yeah.
Like you get, because like Infinity Stones, you know, were the last like kind of thing that they showed off for like a 2v2 brawler, where like you still had like a third kind of option. But I can see them doing like, you can choose a summoner spell and you can choose a rune, and I can see the summoner spell being an active that you can just do, and then your rune is just like a passive that happens while you're fighting, like a Conqueror, Grasp of the Undying, something that you know, adds to your game without you having to activate it. Right. So I can see them doing something like that, because that just seems like kind of cut and dry, like put it in, you know. But yeah, I'm interested where they're going to take the game, because there's so many avenues, so many routes that they can go for, and so far, like, it looks great. By the way, did the stage to you give you like Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5 vibes? I don't know if you like looked at the stage when they were playing.
It reminded me of Arcane, but I'll have to relook at that and check.
Because I was looking at it, I was like, man, I'm getting like Street Fighter 4 vibes from this like background here. Like, this is cool. Because it's just like, I don't know, it's very like simple, and there's characters doing stuff in the background, and they don't care about anything that's going on in the foreground, but they have their own little thing that they're doing. I think it's cool.
So I think this is Piltover, actually.
Yeah, it's the bridge between Piltover and Zaun.
Yeah.
For anybody that's been watching Arcane, They'll know the area very well. So speaking of Arcane, so good. Watch
Yeah.
it. Like amazing.
I have 2 more episodes to watch.
Oh, it's amazing. You'll love it.
Oh man. Yeah.
So like I finished it and I'm happy. Season 2, please. It's coming.
So I just figured I might as well have this playing in the background while we talk.
That
'cause,
works.
Like, I was just going through and looking at some of this because like they also showed Jinx, and she's the one I was least interested in, but she looks pretty damn cool.
Yeah, she seems like a spacer kind of zoner character
Yeah.
that still has stuff. They showed her having a hammer too. I realized that. Yeah, look at these dashes, by the way.
That has to be an ultimate ability that has a long cooldown.
Yeah, I think that is her ult. But if you go back, like you can see that she places orbs in the
Yeah, and
middle of
dashes
that
into them.
animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Darius having a side switch combo. It's like yeah, orb, dash, dash, orb,
Her
dash,
throw animation
dash,
also hits,
dash,
I think.
dash, orb, dash, dash.
It's
And
hard to
then
say.
that cut to a super. That cut to a different like screen entirely.
It reminds me of
see.
Manat. If you ever played Manat from Street Fighter
Yeah,
5,
yeah.
where she has like this V trigger that pops, and then she starts like every time she presses a button, it also throws out an orb. So she can do her normal combo while the orbs are also coming out and do like new combos because like she's pressing buttons and extending them with the orbs hitting them in between. It's pretty crazy.
But yeah, I gotta say, just big fan of the art style. But yeah, you see what I mean about the stage? Like something about the stage just feels.
It does have kind of like a Street Fighter 2 Ken slash like some
Yeah.
jazzy NYC.
Look at this! Like that combo looks so sick. Like Jinx Rocket to extend it, he's just not ending, then ends with a super, and this super looks so sick, dude.
Yeah. Oh, Misfortune would definitely have hidden missiles.
Oh yeah,
Or
with Make It
Gangplank.
Rain. Do like,
Yeah. Yeah, Misfortune or Gangplank.
That'd be sick.
Oh, poor Tom is so tired. Yeah, dude. The
Yeah,
art
they look
style.
tired.
So the gameplay, I like to like stay on task with that. Like, there was one point where I wanted to talk about. Echo throws out an item and then rewinds and then like hits the item.
Yeah, that looks so sick. Yeah, he throws out the time winder.
Yeah.
And then he like jumps up in the air. He jumps up in the air, throws the time winder, rewinds time, and then swings his bat to launch it at him. Like
Yeah.
that looks like straight nasty. This character is going to be a mix-up
That right
monster.
there. Oh, that right there, and then this right here. Jesus, what is this guy doing? Like for people
You
listening on the
definitely-
podcast, I'll put a link for the video so you guys can check that out because you got to watch the video.
Yeah, like you definitely gotta use his use assists to cover for his teleports because I can see people just mashing, and
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure it'll just like you'll just get hit out of it. So he's not like a character that you can just kind of. They're just showing like what you're allowed to do or what you can do,
Oh,
but
no, that's not it. Where was it?
yeah, I think it's later.
That's really
Time
cool where
Winder
you can
looks
slow
so
down.
good though.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah, he's got that as an assist too.
It reminds me of RC. Oh, that's just an assist.
Yeah, he's got
It's like
it
a
as an assist.
Blue RC, like PRC, where
Here
you
it
slow
is.
him down.
This is it. We just.
Oh yeah, where
Oh,
he starts wave dashing. Yeah,
Like, that looks so sick, dude.
the wave
Throws
dash.
it out, like... like, something about that is just crazy.
I wonder what the
Cancel
inputs are for
that.
dash. Like, I really hope it's 2-button dash inputs because
I can see them making it a 2-button dash because it just looks like it with how they're dashing around and crouch canceling it. Like, it just makes sense to me. If you go back into another point where they were showing off Echo, I think
Uh-huh.
there's a better representation of the dashing, actually.
Okay.
Farther back. Yeah, around here, right here. Yeah.
Oh man.
So, right here, like.
Yep. You're right. I see it. He did back wave dashes really fast. Yeah, there it is again.
Like right there. Yeah, so he like crouches. You can tell that he crouches for the dashing. There's no
Please
way
be
you
Marble
can't
3.
do that. You can't do that movement without it being like macroed. You know? what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah, if it's just a
dashing.
macro, that'd be even better. Yeah.
So like that to me is like the only thing that makes me think like it has to be a simple way to dash because there's no conceivable way that somebody has been like jamming the stick that fast like even if you're on a mixed box or a hitbox, like there's no way.
Yeah, who'd they hire to do these combos? Dang, all right, I see.
Yeah, no, they got some pretty good playtesters going on here, man.
Yeah, that's what you need, man. I hope they like bring in some of the higher level play like streamers and stuff. Like I hope they bring Maximillian and like maybe other pro players in, maybe some league players too, and just like have them kind of play test it and share their thoughts. No, not even hype it up. Just like give Riot their honest opinions on this game of like what they think it needs and like in terms of like. It may be some newer players too, because obviously they wanted to be easy to attain, but they already seem to have that part of it down. But just figuring out like where the characters want to go and all that kind of stuff. I think this is a good opportunity for also like influencers too, kind of an aside. But what were you gonna say?
Oh no, I'm with you on that. I think it's a perfect opportunity for Riot to just let the community like voice their opinion on what they want and what is good. Because that's the like easiest thing they can do to just like show that they are interested in the community. And I can see the Cannon brothers do it. They got connections all around. Everybody's gonna receive, like if they received a DM from the Cannon brothers, they know like, yeah, absolutely, man, I got you.
Time has come.
Like, yeah, my time has come. Like Sajam, Maximillian, like even some more like non-people related, like Brian F is still like a very popular channel, even though he only does Street Fighter stuff. Tyler 1, yeah, like, you can bring everybody. You can bring, like, Swimstream or Mogwai onto them, too, from the Runeterra side. Like, they're huge. Like, all of these people are, like, Riot-oriented streamers / like, or not Riot-oriented, but just people that love the game. Something I did want to touch up on. Did you see that DoubleLift made a video about Project L?
I saw he had a reaction to this one, and then I also saw he had a video out, but I haven't watched it yet.
He hates the fact that it's a tag team fighter, by the way.
What's his complaint?
Just because he's like, it's going to be so much more difficult. Like, you have to learn twice as many characters. The game is just going to make it itself way less, like,
accessible,
accessible and easier for new players, because I don't want to play those games where I have to learn 2 different characters. And my thought process is like, I think it's a perfect thing, because tag team brawlers are just like a lot easier than one-on-one games sometimes.
Yeah, the inputs are a lot easier in this game. And so that makes it a lot accessible to learn multiple characters. And who knows, maybe there's multiple game modes where you don't have like 2v2s and stuff like that, where you can practice. We don't know that for sure yet, but it's just like, coming from DoubleLift, who plays ADC, that's just like, what are you talking about? You play ADC in a League of Legends game. What the hell are you talking about,
dude? You literally like go from Lucian to like Caitlyn, and you're like, well, it's kind of the same thing, so I just space better. Like, that is true though, and like, not to take complete shots at DoubleLift. I do love him, heart to heart. He's a great player, but like, I genuinely think like it's just like, I get the whole not wanting to learn multiple characters, but coming from a tag team kind of background myself, I just think that's like complete opposite. I find it way more difficult to learn one character and doing one-on-ones by trying to learn like the very specific niche stuff, like what is this minus on block, what are my safe moves. Like, you can kind of just throw buttons out, man. It'll just feel good. And a lot of times when you learn, at least from Dragon Ball standpoint, if you learned like one character's B&B, you learned most of the characters as B&B. Like,
yeah, people are overthinking the process of learning. Like, they don't know enough to know that it's not as hard as they think it is. But like, they're so convinced it's hard because they might have tried like once or twice and didn't have a good interaction with it, or they played someone who just straight mollywopped them and didn't give them any advice or anything. Whatever it may have been. And so like, I think that's to each their own, right? But you're overcomplicating the game in your own head. You're not taking the time. It's okay.
You're going into training mode for the game, and it's going to take you probably just as much time to learn both of the characters as one, because of how simple the combat is made and how easy the game is supposed to be, And regardless, you're gonna have to be spending time in training mode. Like, that's just how most games are. Like, I
Yeah.
would say Strive is probably the last game that I would say training mode, like, it matters, but I guess coming from a background like you and I feel like we spend a lot less time in training mode for that game than like
I just practice
other
stuff.
normal games.
I don't do a
Yeah.
lot of like exploration on how to figure out stuff, but every now and then if something's really stumping me, then I'll be like, oh, what do I have to do here? But a lot of times you can kind of just figure out things on the fly. If you have to acquire some muscle memory in certain areas, like either from this game or another game, but and you have the combos memorized, you'll be good to go. But
Yeah.
I wanted to give Riot this one idea, right? I want to share this idea with you. You can have this one for free. Next one, I'm going to charge you $50,000 for. But you should do a FGC X Riot or League of Legends like community event for Project L when the game comes out. If indeed it is a 2v2 game, you get one FGC guy paired up with one League of Legends guy, and you run a tournament.
That'd be sick.
You have Tom and Tony Cannon at your fingertips. You also have this could be at Evo, but I think it should be an in-house thing personally. But you also got Pokimane, who owns RTS, who basically is a part owner of Evo now. That's a whole nother side. I don't know what to say with that. I don't know what to do with that, but
yeah,
yeah.
crazy.
So Ryan, there you go for free.
Dude, you could get a Dyrus. He's TSM's old top laner. He's a huge fighting game player. He's played a bunch of Tekken, bunch of different fighting games in general.
Mm.
He could be. I actually could name him, Sneaky. I'm trying to think of someone else who potentially has been playing fighting games. I guess DoubleLift. Those are just three really well-known NA League of Legends players that play fighting games.
Yeah.
So
you get Tasty Steve, you get
There you go.
Yipes, you get
You
Maximillion.
have to get. If you don't sign up Yipes, then I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, maybe throw in some Sajam.
Gotta.
Who I don't know who else you could get for this game. Oh, get some Marvel players, man. Oh man, get some Marvel and DBZ players. Probably
Get
Sonic
Jay
Fox.
Wong.
Yeah, get Jay Wong. Oh yeah,
Get
Jay Wong.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, you could get so many people to There's
Just
so
hype
much
this thing
because
up
they
and
want.
make it so cool.
There's so much potential here. And I remember saying this before, and I am not going to let pessimism hold me back from theorizing about what there could be. But if there is something that, and some people are like, hey, I'm not going to get excited because I don't want to be disappointed. And if that's your logic, then fine. But why be more cynical about, why wish for it's not a thought process that I'm going to go through, right? I'm going to focus on what is possible. If it doesn't happen, okay. I've worked in game dev for a while, and I've also sold video games for a long time. I'm used to disappointing games. It's a very first world problem. I will get over it and I will be okay, right? I would rather do this, speculate about the possibilities, maybe give Riot a free idea, and with the hopes of hiring me later on for some jobs.
Riot,
but
please
yeah.
hire us.
nudge, Riot.
They posted a hiring page, and it was the first thing I looked at. I was like, are they looking for testers? And dang,
No.
But they're looking for a lot more character-based stuff or something like that. Developers, people who actually have a degree in something.
Oh, I should look. Actually, wait, I got one of those.
Yeah. There you go.
In game development, though.
You got the opportunities, man, and then you let me in.
There you go. Exactly. There you go. Open the door for you.
Get me in. So, but honestly, though, I just like speculating about this game because it's going to be one of those games that I'm going to immediately play and I'm probably going to immediately love regardless of it.
Yeah.
I felt like that towards Dragon Ball. That was the game that clicked with me, and I hope I can realize that with Project L as well. It's definitely something I can see myself just putting all of my time and effort into. And with my previous background of DBFZ, I think that would actually immediately help me.
I'm about to get back into Marvel. Oh, Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, honestly. Have you played that game? That is what this game reminds me of. It's very, inputs and everything. If the way it looks, the way it animates, very similar to Battle for the Grid.
I remember I saw some people comment on Reddit about, getting Battle for the Grid kind of, vibes from it. So...
Not a bad thing.
No, it's not bad at all, because people love Battle for the Grid. It's got nuts infinites, but... It's pretty hard for a simple input game, honestly. Their combos are so long. It's cool,
but it's good
Yeah,
example.
if you really
of what
want
we're
to
talking about.
if you really want to talk about like learning characters and then also like putting that into practice for a game like that, Battle for the Grid is the best example. Honestly, it's a game that doesn't have motion inputs. It's a game that like it's got you got 3 characters and you got like the Megazord or whatever, and that's like a whole mechanic in of itself, and it's just perfect in the way of like if you want to try and compare the two, it's right there.
Okay. Well, we have chatted about this. We're very passionate about it. I'm curious to see, like, in a year or two, we'll check in and see what's new with this game. We'll check in before that, but we'll check in about this game specifically and see how that goes. So I'm excited. Let us know what you guys think about the game, your thoughts on it, your predictions, what you hope for, what characters you're looking for. Vi Dudley, please. Yes, that's all I want.
Oh,
Yeah.
set.
Oh, bro, I'd set Vi combo. Let's go. Dunk Squad.
That'd be sick.
Oh, man.
There you go.
go.
Let us know what you guys want.
All right. We'll see you guys in the next one.